welcome to a special edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's the barber to the stars, Hollywood, Pete McGilvery. Well, boys, kind of a special day on Sunday, and I know all you people across the country, look, this was fun. It doesn't matter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Super Bowls. It's as sweet as they've ever been. And this was the most improbable. I was shocked twice during the game. Shocked that we were down 28-3, and shocked that we won the game, guys. Let's just even start with how things occurred.
It was exhilarating, that victory, just to pull the rabbit out of a hat like that. You know,
Joe, had you given up?
I was close. When with the pick six, I was down in the dumps. But I never really gave up. I kept thinking Edelman's going to return a punt to something.
We didn't give up.
No, I was with Russ. Russ and I were the boys.
Constantly doing the math and sort of comparing the time remaining to the time remaining to how many points they were down. So you and I were sort of constantly during that second half just saying, all right, could we do it? Could we do it? Could we do it? And then all of a sudden it became apparent we could.
There were 3 times during that game where the probability of them winning was less than 1%.
In your mind.
No.
Right.
In statistically,
Statistically.
was less than 1%.
I'm the biggest Tom Brady fan going, and I always am optimistic about the Patriots coming back. But I will admit, I felt that we were in really bad shape. As we were texting back and forth, and I said, it just wasn't their day. Nothing. They were half foot off everything.
Because that happens in sports. Great teams just have.
You have a day where you can't execute. And
They were not executing.
Every time
Exactly.
In the last couple of years, they've been really slow coming out of the game.
Yeah, it's a good point, Joe.
But we talked last week and the 2 weeks before that we said that if the Patriots could hold them tight early, if they could keep the score close at halftime, they would be like a great horse, right? They would come at the end and they would
Come
take the
flying
lead.
at the end.
You know, that was when we were talking earlier in the day. The big concern that we both had was they get behind early,
Right.
because Atlanta was such a good front-running team.
Their
that
defense.
Your nightmare scenario is you get behind and you know you can't run the ball. They know you're going to pass every time. Brady gets pressured, makes mistakes.
And Atlanta did everything right from Jump Street that we were all afraid that they could do.
So it was a feeling out process, and then the first big play is Blunt fumbles the ball. He gets stripped, right? And that kind of changes the momentum. You could hear the Belichick whisper the F into his headset. That did change the momentum, and then Atlanta goes down and scores.
Because it was a decent drive till then.
Absolutely. We were
They were
moving the ball.
yeah.
Right? And then so they get up 7-0, and then we don't do anything. Next thing you know, they're up 14-0.
Right. Really loosen them up and turn them into the front-running team that we knew they were.
And
They were feeling it.
And they were feeling it.
And that's
They
the first
had
time you
about
see
5
this.
minutes.
Right. That's the first time you see the stat on the board that says no team has ever come back from more than a 10-point deficit.
You were fighting history from the early second quarter on. Like every stat that you could have possibly come up with made it seem more and more improbable.
But one of those teams that came back from a 10-point deficit was the Patriots a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I guess
In the fourth quarter.
They really didn't look like they had it. I mean, they just didn't look like. Actually, Atlanta looked like they were playing Patriot football to me.
Yeah.
Pete's
I was
point
frustrated.
is such an important one because it wasn't just the number of points we were behind. It was how badly we were playing. You couldn't even imagine a scenario
Well, you could come back.
where you could come back because it just didn't look like, you were ever going to be able to stop them on defense. By the middle of the second quarter, you're like, oh my God, every time they get the ball, they're going to probably score.
Because they seem wide open.
Wide open. And the chunk yards that they were giving up, the Patriots were giving up on first down was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That first play of the game was like shades of
39
Baltimore
yards.
all over again.
Yeah. But, all right, so they get, then we start driving again. Now, we spent, guys, a lot of time in the Falcons part of the field during the first half. So we go to a drive.
With no points, though.
Right. And this drive there, it looks like we're going to score a touchdown. And in 14-7, you guys would have felt pretty comfortable about the situation. And then Tom Brady becomes bad Tom Brady. And we've seen this before.
Not for a long time.
Right. But he throws a really bad interception, which becomes a pick six. the irony is Alfred catches that ball and intercepts it and runs. But there were two other guys who could have intercepted that ball. That's how bad that was.
And he was staring the receiver down, and that's why they all picked up on it.
He did that a lot, though, and he does that even when he connects. I mean, he's just one guy because it's a quick out, right?
Let's be honest, guys. Okay, in the first half, our wide receivers looked and played very small. Right, they were getting manhandled physically by Atlanta.
I don't think the Patriots were prepared for that kind of defense that Atlanta played. I mean, it was almost like they were surprised that they were playing man, and they hadn't quite figured out that what they needed to do to get out of that man scenario, and so they were running drag routes still, and that's why ultimately they ran a play against that defense that resulted in him getting it picked, I think, for the very reason that they were having the trouble.
I feel like the Patriots thought they knew something about Atlanta. First of all, we don't have to play Dallas. Second of all, we don't have to play Green Bay. We got Atlanta. I think we know something about Atlanta. Then they actually get to the game and they get punched in the mouth right away, like Bill Parcells used to say.
Right.
Wait till they get punched in the mouth, and all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute, these guys are executing. They have a good game plan. Matt Ryan was playing well.
Okay, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But also the Falcons' defensive backs were very physical. Even when
Very
the
aggressive,
Patriots
very
caught the
lot
ball,
of holds.
they were making the Patriots wide receivers pay for whatever they
They were
did.
grabbing, though, badly.
Well, yeah, they were challenging the refs. You know, they were trying to see how far they could go with the refs. And the refs started to call it, and they backed off a little. And that was when the Patriots started playing.
I also think in retrospect, when you look at that first half, we were inflicting a little bit of damage on Atlanta. We just didn't know it.
Exactly.
We were getting the ball. We take it into their territory.
Exactly.
7, 8, 9 play drives.
Didn't feel like it.
Turnovers. We get the ball back. Even at the end of that quarter, when we ended up having to kick the field goal, I think we went 80 yards.
Yeah,
again.
and
It was
it
all
felt like there was
money in the
nothing to
bank.
feel good about,
I
didn't it?
hadn't thought of it that way.
Right, and we were tiring the defense.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
And Trey Brown made a great comment after the game. He said he's played in that stadium before. It's an indoor stadium. It gets very hot
Muggy.
in the third and fourth quarter, and you're gassed. Okay, so we get to 21-3 at halftime, and what are you thinking? You're thinking at the very least, now Atlanta's going to get the ball in the second half.
To start the game.
So we must have a stop, and we must come
Yeah,
down.
now you're doing the math.
Right.
Now
But are you
you're
guys
doing the
depressed?
math.
Are we depressed at this point?
Surprised.
Depressed.
Oh,
We're not happy either about watching Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, yeah.
Depressed is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was so depressed when Lady Gaga jumped from the top of the stadium, I wanted to go with her. That was it. I felt like that, this was an opportunity lost.
But at the same time, though, we are kind of confident that at least Matt Patricia, they do make great adjustments at halftime. Oh, they have this year and consistently throughout Bill Belichick's
It's
team.
funny because I've heard a couple of interviews with Belichick refer to the fact, look, I think if you were to say what should the score have been at the end of the first half, given how much we moved the ball, it should have been like a 14-3 game.
Take away the pick six.
13-6. It should have been somewhere in there, right? Like
Yeah,
that-
because
that
you
would
figured
have
the
been
pick six should have been at least a
strikeable.
field goal for us.
Right. So
Yeah.
it was, we were down by 18 when it really sort of felt like we should have only been down by 8 or 10.
Yeah, right. Great.
You know what it was for me? Every time, like when the Patriots did do something positive, and then you're looking for the stop on the next series, Atlanta came right back and answered. It
Yes.
seemed to me like they just answered and go, oh, man.
Yeah.
Just stop the momentum. They were
Right.
able to make a rip off a 29-yard play and go, oh,
Yeah, change the field position.
yeah, they just answered.
If they were a fighter, they were willing to take one punch to give you guys
yeah,
two
right. They
or
were
three of
trading.
the Patriots.
They were trading.
Also, we love our administrative part of the game. The small things that the Patriots do so well that ultimately equal up at the end of the game to a victory. They did nothing small well in the first half.
The Patriots.
Right, the Patriots.
Totally agree.
Everything, if you say in basketball 50-50 balls, everything went the Falcons' way in that way. So we come into the second half, and you're realizing that if we don't come out of here hell's bells in the third quarter, it's going to be a long night.
And they didn't come out.
And we better bust into the liquor cabinet awful quick.
No, we did come out hell. Like that first defensive series against Atlanta in the third quarter
3-0,
was
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hightower, you could tell they just decided we're going to get our linebackers and our defensive linemen upfield to stop that BS that was happening on the stretch runs. They had a great 3 and out.
Lyndon Roberts had
By
a
the way,
tough game.
not only 3 and out, but then Edelman returned the ball to 47.
3 and out, and the defense showing emotion. Hightower going like this and stuff.
And
all of
and then we dropped 2 passes.
Yeah.
No, right, and exactly.
Was
Yeah,
that when they
Hogan-
marched down? They
Hogan-
got 3 defensive
No,
holding calls.
we got the ball back. No. We got the ball back after their first punt. We had a ball at the 47 with 13 minutes left in the third quarter. Pass to Hogan, dropped.
Yeah.
Run play.
Loss of like 2 yards.
Pass to Edelman would have been a first down, dropped it. And you're like, that was probably my low point.
Yeah.
They were 3 and out, and now it's the middle of the third.
Because Edelman catches that ball, and that was as if Brady handed it to him. That's how easy that catch was. And he had some room to run. He would have got an easy first down, and we're on our way.
Yeah.
He drops that, you're just figuring, that's not our night.
And I think they go down and score.
Yeah, they do.
Right.
Easy.
Right
That
in
made
there
it
is like
28.
the low point, which is like,
then they did
ooh.
the trick play that didn't work, and then the fumbled onside kick or something.
And that would have been the answer to the question, when did Rob Ninkovich's career end? When he was about 20 yards away from the
he
guy
got-
running
I
into
love
the end
that.
zone.
No, that was a
Onside
tough
kick. It
angle.
wasn't successful, but I love the.
No, but when Ninkovich was,
yeah.
that was embarrassing. He got caught up in the line, and
So it's
Yeah, it
28.
was-
So it's 28-3, and they kick the ball off to us.
well,
With
28-3, and I think it's over.
And they kick
Yeah.
the ball off, and we get the ball back around 9 minutes, if I remember correctly, in the third quarter. Is that right?
Yeah. Now, my sons, Max and Lucas, have now
left
gone.
the room?
They have left the room. They have
left
gone
the party.
downstairs.
The party is now officially Scott and me
Yeah, right.
doing the math.
Max, we're worried a little bit about, but because we're not hearing any noise there. So, right, and I've heard a lot that a lot of people left parties
That's
at
right.
28-3 because
Donald Trump is for one.
Right.
and
No, so-
Mark Wahlberg, which forever will be known. Whenever you leave a game early, you're pulling
doing
the
a mark.
You're
love
pulling the
that. That's
Wahlberg,
good.
right? Exactly.
So then
what a
that-
phony he is. I
So-
just want to mention
So
that.
then he came out with, I had to go home. My son was sick or something.
So that
Oh, yeah,
next
right.
drive, though,
Sick
you know,
of having a father who would leave the
Yeah,
Super
I'm-
Bowl.
yeah.
that next drive for the Patriots was, I think, another example of, we're bemoaning the fact that how slow it's going, but again, they're just putting money in the bank because they're just wearing Atlanta down. Remember, the big problem with that drive was
Kidney shots.
it took forever.
Now,
and then they couldn't even cap that off because Stowski misses.
But it was a
post half
good drive. Like, look, again, watching that game again, you look back and it's like, good drive. It just went slowly.
Yeah.
but after watching some of the highlights, maybe Tom Brady was a little rattled physically. And he was going slow because he was
wasn't a lot
getting hit a lot, and he needed to go back to the, the huddle to try to gain his composure. Guys, he was getting smoked during that game.
The red zone play was not there.
Right, but so we were worried about him, them, challenging. Ultimately, it was going to be the clock. That was the biggest challenge in that game. Right?
And it was.
Yeah, but they came down, they scored, and now Gostkowski, we've decided that, of course, he hasn't blown a game this year, but he hasn't assisted in any games, and he clangs one.
No.
No, that's when he clangs the extra point?
He pushed that one, but he had a couple of good deep kicks there.
All right, but we're not there yet.
We're not there
We're not there yet. We're not
You
there
got to
yet.
stick with the program.
Yeah, exactly.
sorry.
Don't
So he
jump
clangs
ahead.
one, and
I don't have my glasses.
and then so we're deciding that we're putting on the bus Ninkovich, whose career is over, and we decide, well, I guess that's it for Stephen Gostkowski's career because
we're taking names at this point in time.
yeah, right, because we've had enough of Stephen Gostkowski at that exact moment.
We've moved on to next year at this
yeah,
point.
right, exactly. All right, so it's
Pitchers and catchers are going to show.
right. So it's 28-9, and we're thinking we need a turnover, right? At 28-9.
Desperately.
We don't get one,
No,
but
wait. 28-9 is when we do the onside kick, and
Oh.
a sneaky key moment in that game was we don't get the onside kick. It looks as bleak as ever at that point
Yeah.
in time, and that stop that we put on them. We gave them the ball at our
midfield.
45,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And that stop that we put on that team, a couple guys made some big plays.
Flowers.
Flowers made
Yeah.
a big play. We had a tough stop. Chung knocked a ball out of the tight end's hands, which might have been So you go back and say that's where this game really started to turn because you were thinking, we're at least giving up 3,
Yeah.
right?
And when you
I
get,
was hoping only to give up 3
Yeah.
there.
and let's be honest, the turnovers were going to come from Matt Ryan. It was going to come from Matt Ryan fumbling the ball. And when you start to realize that we're getting rushed, it gives you the idea that, okay, we can get Matt Ryan to fumble the
Yeah,
ball.
I didn't think he was playing poorly up to that point, though.
Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
He wasn't playing up to an
He's
MVP
playing well
caliber.
enough to win the Super Bowl. He was up 3
But they
touchdowns.
weren't asking him to do much either. I'm telling you something. If you look back, we're not going to rag on Matt Ryan right now. Okay,
So we get the ball back after the stop, after the onside kick,
Yeah.
and then that's the one we go down and kick the field goal.
go down
Yeah.
kick the field
Right.
in the red zone.
In the red zone.
Bennett
Thank you,
catches a
Martellus Bennett, for that hold on that play.
no, but he made a nice play and he got it into the
Right.
red zone, and
He
then
did.
he screwed up 2 plays,
Then
right?
2 plays in a row.
Yeah.
And he got sacked twice.
And then we had Martellus Bennett on
He
the
was on the
he
bus,
was on
too.
the bus too.
The
That-
bus is starting to get full.
Yeah, right. Because we need heads to fall, right?
Yeah.
And so who's going?
Yeah.
So Martellus was the next one to go. So,
Gostowski kicks the field goal.
and did you have any faith that he was going to kick that field goal?
Oh, I think that was.
I had my
reasonably
fingers
close.
crossed.
But what's
He almost missed it. I just want to
Yeah.
mention when he kicked it, I
it
may have
looked like,
swore.
oh, yeah, it snuck it through. But you know what's funny? That is when, and I think that's when we all start. Like the math was starting to become apparent, where you're like, okay, we
16.
could do this. There were 2 problems, right? The one was the clock, and the other, as we were saying earlier, you had to complete two-point conversions.
That's huge.
Right, and you only get 1 bite at that apple. So it really was, they had no, and I said this to you, they had 0 more margin for error. At that point in time, every single thing, the rest of the game had to go the Patriots' way, and that's exactly what happened.
With different personnel.
With different personnel.
I had perfect, confidence they could score the 2 touchdowns. I wasn't sure about the two-point conversion.
Well, Joe, that's great. That's very insightful because I heard a statistic that only once in the history of the NFL has a team scored two-point conversions.
in a playoff game.
game.
And one of them was easy money. I mean, that was, I don't know what they were.
The
prepared-
Amendola one. Oh, I didn't
Well,
know.
all right, we're going to talk about that.
Jumping
Yeah, he's
ahead.
jumping ahead. He's
Oh,
not even.
oh,
I'm the only
Forgive
one
me.
who's sticking
I
with
know
the
you
program.
really are
I'm
doing
trying
that.
to do
He's
this.
no, Pete's doing that too.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
Joe is
just-
rogue. He's
I'm just
so-
waiting to counter. But can I just say one thing?
Go ahead.
Because you already touched on it earlier. It's time to say that Trey Flowers, I mean, he cycled right up to the
Yeah.
ultimate stage and performed better than
He really
Better than Chandler Jones would have ever performed.
Oh,
all
definitely,
day.
definitely.
All
and
day.
let's be honest, he
Absolutely right.
replaced Chandler Jones,
Absolutely right.
and Chandler Jones used to choke during playoff games.
Oh, yeah, you never heard his name. Never.
Yeah.
This
And
guy was real.
Trey Flowers is the man for next year, right?
yeah, it looks like it.
Well, I just want to squeeze this into before, because we may not get to
Are you jumping ahead?
I am jumping a little bit ahead.
Oh, it's okay.
Malcolm Mitchell, would you guys agree Malcolm Mitchell, after the game he played, is the Patriots' #1 receiver going
He's their
into the
number
season?
1 outside receiver, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
More than Hogan, you think?
no, I'm talking about the #1 receiver. If we have,
I mean, he's making that.
Just-
How
and he-
about that trade in retrospect? Chandler Jones for Tooney and Mitchell. You
Yeah,
do
Mitchell.
that every day and Sunday.
Oh, that's a great point. Wow.
Every day and Sunday.
And you didn't hear Tooney's name all day,
no, right.
which
right,
means
great.
he's doing his job. But
David
although
Andrews
although
and
the
Shaq
offensive
Mason had a
line
tough
wasn't
time in
great.
the first half.
No,
So-
Andrews was fine, but Mason
so
did have
we
it back.
kicked the ball off. It's a 16-point
Yeah.
game, and we kicked the ball off. And this is where what Atlanta did to open the door for us really starts to come into play.
Yeah, because we, like you said, we need to play perfect on
And you
both
said
sides
it,
of the ball.
and you said it, and even Belichick said it, which is they got to get a turnover.
Yeah.
You're not going to win the game without a turnover, down 16 with whatever. 8
Because the
minutes to go.
time was their enemy at that point.
Right.
Okay, so Atlanta just needs to eat clock,
Yep.
right?
Make a
Not
turn
turn the
or
ball
two.
over.
That's right.
And they
Just
will
play
win
clean, play
the Super
clean.
Bowl.
Yeah,
Right.
Mike Lombardi, who I really like listening to, said this. But he said what Atlanta failed to realize in that fourth quarter was their opponent wasn't the Patriots; it was the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have been doing everything they could to take time off of that clock at that point in time,
And they were not.
and they did not.
Okay, well, look, we've been.
How is that possible with 5 guys upstairs and
Pete,
this
it's a
coach was in the
cardinal
Super
rule
Bowl
of
3
football.
years
What
in a
is
row?
one of the cardinal rules of football? Win ahead late in the game, you run the football.
Because this is different. Because this was about a mandate. The Falcons didn't just want to win; they wanted to make a statement.
Yeah,
in
but the
victory.
Falcons
It
would have been
wasn't good
lucky to
enough-
win.
They wanted to keep their foot on the pedal.
And they wanted to be the greatest show on turf. They wanted to
think they
show
might have
that we
followed
are the
that.
offensive powerhouse.
And that's what got them to that point.
right.
That's right. You're right about that,
Yeah.
Pete. But man, it's just like don't be so stubborn. Don't be so set in your ways. You are sitting there with a chance to win the Super Bowl if you just start to do smart things.
Right. And so they have the ball in field goal.
No. This one
No, no.
was.
Oh, okay.
This one was
All right.
back
All
on
right. They're back.
25.
Okay, right. You're right.
Third
They're
and
back.
one.
3rd and 1.
On their first series.
And they have, if I remember correctly, because if what they have Freeman a step in front of Ryan. I thought he was just going to get the ball and just give it, draw a play to Freeman.
Remember, it was 2nd and 2, and Flowers made a big play.
That's right.
Make it
Another
3rd
big
and
play.
1.
That's absolutely right.
Now, Matt Ryan, not only does he go back to pass, he sits
Yeah,
there
he goes to like San Antonio back to pass.
Right.
That's how far backwards he goes.
7-step drop. He didn't have a 7-step drop any other time during the game. Otherwise, Hightower doesn't make the bend.
because he's looking to go deep.
Yep.
He's looking to go deep.
And Hightower doesn't come from his blind side either. It comes straight on him.
Straight on him.
Yeah.
And Hightower, as you know, my favorite player on
Oh,
defense. Come on, I've said it. He absolutely destroys
Yeah,
Ryan.
he went for the ball and just hammers him.
And you got to kudos to Branch to have the wherewithal to recover it, or it's
And kudos to Hightower. He didn't even try for Ryan. He
That's
was
right.
after the ball.
because Atlantis fumbled the ball, I think 6 times during the
Long head
playoffs,
penetration,
and
too.
had recovered every one of them.
So we get the break there, and I think it was just 2 or 3 plays. We were down
Yeah.
right there, and that was the first one. Was the first touchdown there? That was the throw to
Yes.
Amendola.
right on that.
Yeah.
By the way, the same play that Edelman ran in the Seattle Super Bowl.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Little curl out, and then to your point, that first 2-point conversion was easy money.
Easy. And
I
while
love
we're
that
on that
play.
point, we have to throw a balloon to Amendola for being the Super Bowl guy. Even in the last Super Bowl, he was great.
totally
And
right.
during
Right.
the season,
point.
it just seems to me that he's Tom's 4th guy.
But he's also not durable during the season.
I think
Pete.
they manage.
He just
Well,
he,
that's-
They
maybe
manage him. They
Yeah,
manage his snaps.
he's on a pitch count.
remember he was hurt. He had a high ankle
But
sprain. He was out for a number
he
of weeks.
never gets the first look. But he got his first look on that 2-point
We still have
conversion.
to go through overtime, so we got to keep this part.
But he's valuable. Yeah, well, we actually have more. Yeah, we have 7 minutes, but he's valuable to the Patriots and
Absolutely.
only the Patriots.
I think that's
Yeah,
right.
I
And
mean,
by the way, it's
yes.
a bit of a backup insurance for Edelman too. So he's you're
Well,
keeping him
any
around.
guy that catches a 4th down ball to keep
Oh, my
a
God,
Super
yeah,
Bowl drive
absolutely.
alive, to me,
Yep.
he's got free passes the rest of the.
So
Do you want to get that?
no, I'm good right now. It's probably about the Super Bowl. Okay, because that's all we're talking about right now.
Patriots won, I
But I
heard.
just want to mention that the Falcons showed how gassed they were on that first 2-point conversion for White. There were guys who put
They
their
weren't even
hands on the
down in the
ground,
stands.
stood up,
Yeah.
and watched.
No.
Oh, Brady's not going to make a pass. Oh, I guess they'll do something else. They gave no effort on that
It's
play.
very interesting to look at it, of course, now that, looking back at when they show it on TV, and their body language tells you that man, we're just dragging now. When you say put your hand down, I watched them last night, and they weren't that enthusiastic putting that hand
I
in
love
the
the
dirt.
way the Patriots ran right up to the line. We saw that they were gassed, ran right up and ran the play right at 'em.
Well, so
Because they could.
So NFL Network will be doing Sound FX, which we got to give this to the professor, is Patriots pornography.
Oh,
so
yeah.
and that'll get us through the winter and of course this storm. But they had Inside the NFL last night on Showtime, if you caught it, and when it was 28-9 and the Patriots were driving, which ultimately ended up as a field goal, they had the coach of the Falcons say, "We're gassed."
Yeah.
So
It
it
was
was
early.
third quarter.
And he knows his defense.
Yeah, middle of the third quarter that they had nothing left. And we know Brookline's own Ernie Adams and Bill Belichick noticed it too. So 28-20, boys, we're halfway through
so
this.
then we
The 16
right.
thing.
Yeah.
And so that was Gostowski makes a great kick.
Yeah.
Pins him in the inside the 10. And my second lowest point of that second half, because they had pulled me back in emotionally, was first down. Devontae Freeman goes out to a pass, and there literally isn't
Nobody
anyone
in the
20
zip
margin.
code. Nobody was in the
20
zip
yards.
code.
I've never seen Russell that
I'm
angry
like, how
about a
could-
play.
How could that? How
When it
could
mattered.
that happen?
Landon Roberts was just
Well,
out to
I
lunch
think
on that
I,
play.
he
I
also
think.
I think
With
there
Dwayne
was a
Harmon.
miscommunication, but there was a collision. So even if he wanted to get over to him, he couldn't. Harmon and Roberts managed to pick each other on a play.
It was inexcusable, and though Roberts, I will give him some credit, he did
Tracks
come
him
back.
down.
He tracks him
Tracks
down
him
with
down.
Butler. Yeah.
Unbelievable
yeah.
play.
And that's 39 yards down
Just
the field.
desperation
Next
making
play.
up for it.
Next play.
Julio Jones.
All right, Julio Jones. What,
Holy
Never should
smokes.
have thrown the ball though.
Can we say that Julio Jones is one of the top 30
Oh,
wide
incredible
receivers of all
athlete.
time?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's
The amount
top
of
shelf.
body control that went into catching that ball.
Oh yeah.
He did it 2 weeks before that too.
But Ryan, who has just turned over the ball, is
But it
throwing
should
a
have
ball
won the
that,
game.
but he's throwing a ball that should be turned over. That should be intercepted.
He's throwing desperate footballs.
Right.
Like a desperate man that's behind.
He was tight at that point in time.
Not even, but he's not open at all. Rowe has the inside position.
Yeah.
Rowe, who's a big defensive back,
Yeah.
most likely is going to intercept that ball. But Ryan actually throws a bad pass. He throws it high, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but is there a bad pass when you're throwing it to Julio Jones? I wonder.
Seems.
He's like Gronky, catches anything in the
Yeah.
air.
Well, Pete,
So-
if you're right about that, then I don't know why you only throw to Julio Jones 4 times in the game,
whole game.
and you have 4
Crazy.
catches. That's another thing where that's on Matt Ryan. What are you throwing to
And
Sano?
Kyle
And,
Shanahan,
Kyle
too.
Shanahan.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
so he makes this great catch. They're on the 22-yard line,
23-yard line, 1st and 10.
and all they have to do, like you said, they basically need to do is take a knee, kick a 40-yard field goal, and
You're
Take
up
3
11.
knees. Take 3
You,
knees.
you,
and kick the field
and
goal.
you've drained all the Patriots timeouts from them. So the
Yeah.
Patriots going to get the ball back down 11 with, basically 2:50 to go. The game is over.
Now, are you managing this clock here?
Yeah,
now?
no, because then we get to 7. I know what the clock looks like. We're finishing this up. I'm telling you something. Right.
Great,
So
great sack.
sack and Matthews should get a Matthews, their offensive lineman. He needs to get a ring. He's a number 1 pick.
Yeah.
A high number 1 pick, and he has 2 holding calls. And this is where Chris
one
Long,
too.
his experience comes through.
His signing was right in one play.
Right, because he sells that holding call.
Yeah.
He
He had the presence to get his arms out like that to look at me. I'm getting,
snap the head back. He sold
get
it.
low and start driving your legs. Yeah.
Right, because he's not getting to Ryan,
Yeah.
but he's doing the second best thing. He's getting a holding call. Okay, so they are forced to punt, but still, guys, they punt the ball, and we get the ball the 9-yard line with 3 minutes left. We've got to drive 91 yards. Oh, and if that's not enough, we then have to do a 2-point conversion
I gotta tell
to
you, that-
tie the game.
That first, it was 3rd and 10, and that first reception that Brady throws to the right flank there.
Oh, to Amendola. That was one of the best passes in.
No, to Hogan.
Yeah. Hogan.
Yeah.
One
Oh.
of the best passes you'll ever see because he basically had a guy on his right arm. White makes a great block there. Barely gets the guy.
Wait, is that the one that
Strong,
Hogan came
strong
back to the
throw.
ball?
No, this is the one for 3rd and 10 on the 9-yard line, and where I think we can all agree that had they not got the first down in that
They
play,
would've
they would have
They
punted.
would have punted. They had 2
Yeah.
timeouts left.
So he makes a great throw.
Yeah.
Brady makes
Oh,
just,
strong throw given the situation.
and Hogan catches the ball. They get 12 yards. It's on the 21-yard line, and all of a sudden we're in business.
Right. James White takes over. Deion Jones was gassed. James White starts, and then the
With
pass
the great catch for Edelman, which was just unbelievable. I mean, that was our David Tyree moment.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden,
It's even better in slow motion.
but it was funny, the TV broadcast, if you noticed it. All right, everyone's focusing on the Edelman catch. They finally decided it was a catch, and the TV hadn't caught up to the next play because next thing you know, Amendola is
Amendola's
catching a
catching the ball.
pass and he's on the 20-yard line. And we know we're in business now. And you pretty much know at this point we're scoring.
Next thing you know, James White's inside there.
Right, but we're scoring. We know we're scoring, and we're thinking,
It's all about the
The
2-point
2-point
conversion.
conversion.
but you're in a difficult situation. I know I've read some, contradicting things. Now, for us, when we're sitting there, we're thinking we need to score as quickly as possible because if we don't get
That's
the
right.
2 points, we need the opportunity to get an onside kick, get the ball, and go back down. But in retrospect, we didn't want to give them the ball either.
Yeah.
We go down, we score, and then the Amendola 2-point conversion.
It was a great.
Oh, he wrestled it across
What a
the
play
line.
design, though. Amendola's
Yeah.
coming right back at Brady.
Right.
Brady lets the first guys clear. Unbelievable play call.
And just, there's so much could go wrong in that play, and everything
Everything.
goes right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're lucky to get the call because the break the plane thing, I hate to see that on a
Yeah.
deciding play like that.
So let's be honest, it's tied up. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're playing with the house's money, guys, right? I
It's all about a coin flip at this point.
because we're all our mind has got the loss, and next thing you know, we're going overtime, and it's the coin toss.
Let's face it, Atlanta's got to be reeling right about now.
Right. And if we win the coin toss, we know we're winning this game.
Well, we've all been in that situation. When things start slipping away as badly as that did, you're terrified. You're afraid to even do anything
Let's
because
face-
you know
yeah.
you're out of control. Everything's out of control for you. You have no control.
And Matthew Slater's made mistakes in that
That's
situation.
what, he concentrated. Yeah, I thought they were going to put a sign, tape it to a ball. They win the coin toss,
Receiving.
and if you
Yeah,
notice
even-
Matt Ryan, right? If you notice Matt Ryan, the moment the coin toss went
Yeah.
the Patriots' way, he knew his season
Face
was over.
fell a foot.
It's all over.
His season was over. He might as well just took his uniform off. And the overtime was all about Brookline's own Tom Brady. That was all
He
him.
made
Oh, yeah.
3 passes that were just greatest of all time passes in that overtime.
Oh,
Yeah.
so pretty, weren't they?
Unbelievable.
The pass that we talked about that's underrated is the pass to Danny Amendola on the sideline. For true football fans who've watched this game for a long time, you will appreciate what he did on that sideline pass was not normal.
And Joe Buck said that right away. As soon as it left his hand, he said, wow.
Yeah, Aikman was amazing.
Aikman, I thought, was going to come right
I
out
think
of the
Tony
seat.
Maserati calculated that ball was thrown. It was a 14-yard completion, thrown 36 yards in the air.
And lofted, but dropped right into it. And that's a sideline pass. And then you have to give Chris Hogan props for that pass.
Adjusting to it.
That pass that Brady made was a dangerous pass. Could have been intercepted, but Hogan did a great job coming back to that ball.
Yeah. Everything
Everything started to add
as
up.
those receivers played through the beginning of the third quarter, they did not drop a thing. They did not drop a ball.
But
from
they
their
also
hands.
had separation at this point because the other
right.
guys were really starting to sag, as it turned out.
Yeah, so then we get down to the...
And Brady had time because those guys were getting tired.
As good as Brady was, I thought the receivers also showed big-time concentration.
In the third and
clutch
fourth quarter.
play in the third, fourth quarter.
Now, Bennett, who's had a Asi game, he drops a ball that would have been the winning touchdown, but
That-
there's an interference.
Well,
He should
kinda
have
That
got
should
caught
have been
pulled
a.
out of
That's
business.
You're in a Super Bowl. That's a Super Bowl catch to make.
Yeah, he needed to catch that
Even
because
if the guy's arm is across.
because
you
his
gotta-
hands were free.
It was hit him in the stomach.
Yeah, but he gets an interference call, which I think was pretty lucky. They don't usually call those kind of...
He got mauled, though.
Well,
you watch
the guy
that.
was
He
had
got
his arm
mauled.
and
He was
pulled it from
across his
behind.
body, but he
He had
still
his
was.
hand in early. He got his face
Yeah,
smacked.
he
and
was
his
right
hand
around
It's a
Yeah.
Super Bowl. You got to
No,
make
he
that
should have
catch.
caught
I
it, but
wouldn't
it
have
was a
made that
legitimate.
call if I'm the ref.
It was a
but-
legitimate
Boys,
call.
if
But
that
then
was
that-
Gronkowski, he would never have got
But
that
wasn't
call.
that
You're
first
totally
down?
right.
That's the
You're
last.
Yeah, but then the next play was the one. And I think that's what you.
No, right. But you know what? When I first saw the play that they passed to Bennett, that was deflected by Beasley, we were like, oh my God, freaking Seattle all over again. Well, are you serious? But when I thought about it more, that wasn't a bad call because we had Blunt in. They were selling out for the run. Beasley is a defensive lineman who made a good play by actually
but
coming
you're
out.
doing a fade ball.
No, I don't think they expected Beasley to do what he did.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
typically, fade
got
balls
a
never,
full hand
no,
on that
but
ball.
Typically, fade balls don't work, but they hardly ever get intercepted. It's almost impossible.
Well,
to
usually
intercept a fade.
it goes long rather than short.
That's what I'm saying. Is like
Yeah.
typically that's a safe pass. It's
Yeah,
not.
I think it surprised
particularly
Beasley.
productive, right.
Because he would have.
Well, Bennett lost his footing.
Yeah, well, that was the problem. That
I don't know
Bennett didn't
why.
fight.
Bennett was literally just fell down. He
Fell down, lost
tripped.
his balance. Yeah.
Like
Lost his balance.
Gronk about
Backpedaling.
games earlier. It's the
Right.
exact same play, the same situation.
Yeah.
And
So
then a guy whose name we have not mentioned enough, given how great he played, James White.
Oh, yeah.
Was just
Joe
What
called
did I
that.
said MVP?
Joe called that last week.
Yeah.
good call, Joe. But that was a great run. He had 4 guys who could have stopped him on that run.
He did that
And
by
he-
Which
himself.
is not like James White. James
No,
White
no,
does
no.
go
No.
down on
Did you
top.
see that crack block
smelled
that?
Edelman, what a great block he
Oh
made.
my
Yeah.
God, he sealed off the
What a
whole
great block.
line.
And Cannon got out there, got just enough of those guys on the way out there, pulling out there. Cannon made a unheralded block on that as
Yeah,
well.
Cannon played a great game. I mean, for all we've
But
said about
Edelman-
Marcus Cannon,
Just hammers that.
Yeah.
He had a good year all around. I'll say.
Cannon?
I'll give him
Oh, my God.
Fine season.
I
Joe,
thought-
we'd be paying him a lot more if he was
They
coming.
did. They already extended.
No, but we'd be paying him a lot more than they extended
Or
him.
if, yeah, if they.
What
he
a
was on
beating the
free market.
Patriots took when they re-signed Cannon this year. Everyone had something to say about that.
Me included.
Right. And it turns
He's-
out
Well, that's Dante's helped out a little
Belichick,
bit.
this is a big victory for Belichick.
So we get the victory. It's unbelievable. You're going crazy, right? You cannot.
Cloud 9.
Right. Because you realize it really doesn't matter if it snows the rest of the freaking winter. We just won the Super Bowl, right? But we got to go. We'll just continue this next week, boys, because
we'll have to pick it up.
it's going to be
Is that,
very...
is that the game jersey?
this, yeah, I wish. Well, I want to thank the boys. I want to thank everyone behind the scenes, including, of course, the lovely and talented Adrian and Handsome Todd, who's coming here with an injury. We do appreciate it. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for maybe Mickey Ward. You just never know. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great night. Oh, Scott Kerman, have a great and happy night. The elephants are in town.